This is episode 1 with lifestyle entrepreneur and business automation expert Jermaine Griggs. Hi, my name is Leon Gabrielian and this is the Thriving Life Club, the podcast for those who want to thrive in every area of life. Thanks for joining me today. Welcome to the club. Let's begin. Everyone wants to make money by doing what they love and are passionate about. Everyone knows that some of the biggest and most successful companies like Google, Amazon, Facebook were started out of a garage or in a dorm room. Everyone wants to make millions of dollars on autopilot from their laptop and an internet connection while traveling the world with their loved ones. Not everyone is willing to do the work necessary to get all that though. My today's guest took his passion for music and built a multi-million-dollar business from his college dorm room. Out of necessity, he had to learn how to put systems in place and automate his entire business so he can finish college. Today, he's known as the world's leading business automation expert. And I'll let him tell his story in detail during this exciting interview. I hope you enjoy the content of the conversation and get a lot of value out of it. Without further ado, the one and only Jermaine Griggs. Welcome to the Thriving Life Club podcast, Jermaine.
Leon, pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me. I've been an entrepreneur 22 years now. I started really when I was 8, but I'm known as that kid that sold Avon at 12 years old. I call myself the youngest Avon lady in California at the time, but a little boy selling it door to door because I just had this burning desire that Napoleon Hill talks about in Think and Grow Rich. And I just had that as young as I could remember. I taught myself how to play piano. I started a little business teaching kids how to play the piano when I was about, by this time I'd been playing for 6 years. I started at 8. At around 14, I'm teaching kids how to play all by ear, listening, chords, scales, songs in the church and stuff. And that morphed, or birthed rather, hearandplay.com. And that was my first sort of serious business, you could say. And at 17, I registered the domain name hearandplay.com. The date was August 6th, the year 2000. Wow. Imagine that date on the internet, what you could do on the internet in the year 2000, We're dialing up, 14.4K modem, 28.8, we're moving on up. 56.K modem, which no one alive today or right now that logs onto the internet knows what that is probably. So, we grew our business over time. I say we, but it was really I, and then I brought on people over time. And in the dorm room, by I think 16 months later, the business actually started to take off. It was 16 months of patience. I actually would get sales as a 17, 18-year-old. I'm shipping out a few books here, a few books there, a few courses on how to play the piano. By 2002, I started really taking marketing seriously. Came across a guy named Corey Rudel. He owned internetmarketing.com. Read that course, devoured it, learned about copywriting, learned about sales and traffic and, just building a business, not doing it by accident, but this time, but doing it intentionally. That's what I did. And I remember in the dorm room, one day, I changed over my website. That next morning, I woke up and I had $1,100 in sales of my course, like in that one day. And I had never made that, I think, in 2 to 3 months combined, a few $100s a month. I had that a day. The next day, $300. The next day, $400. The next day, $300. And it was just like 3, 2, 4, 3, 2, 4. By the end of the month, $8,000. And having come from where I come from, the inner city of Long Beach, and struggling, but just having a burning desire, that was my turning point. And that was over a decade ago. Well, 15 years ago or more. And I'm still telling the story. I'll be telling it in my rocking chair. And that, of course, morphed into other things, personal development and teaching business, teaching people what I learned in this process, automation, Infusionsoft, personal development, motivation. Obviously, an entrepreneur, I can't stay put. I want to evolve and do other things.
Awesome. What was different, though, when that day when you woke up? What did you change that, brought so many more sales?
Right. So I always tease people because everybody thinks they're a marketer. Everybody thinks they're an advertiser. Right. They want to tell, the companies what to do, or, they critique commercials and they say, oh, you should do this. Even people come to our website, you should do this and you should do that. So the normal thing, being exposed to marketing in catalogs and things, you think you put your photo, you put a little paragraph about, the course, and you put your order button and the world's supposed to come. That's why I was only making 3-4 sales, because I didn't say anything. I didn't sell. I was doing it the way I saw it in catalogs. Common sense marketing, as some would do. Everybody thinks they're a marketer until they have to become a marketer. So when I bought Corey's course, it really exposed me to how to sell. There are persuasion and influence techniques and strategies that position your product in a way. It's almost like someone needs help to help themselves, right? People are distracted. People, the amount of interruptions we get are unparalleled. And to think that you can just say, here's my product, and the world will beat down your door, that's a big fallacy. And that's why 9 out of 10 businesses fail, because people don't take this seriously. I never underestimate the challenge of making a stranger buy from me on the internet without seeing me, barely knowing me. And I don't take that lightly. And so there are strategies that come together. Your headline is going to be responsible for probably half of your success. So are you testing and trying different headlines that convey a benefit immediately? They say you got 10 seconds to grab someone's attention. And that was when Corey was alive. Sadly, he passed away in 2005 in a tragic car accident. My first mentor and a dear friend of mine. He was very selfless. And we became friends after buying his course. Long story there. But Corey said that in 2002. I bet it's worse 15 years later with the amount of social media. You hardly have any time to grab someone's attention. So how much thought are you putting into your headlines? Are you the way you're positioning your product, your price, right? Your packaging, your conveyance of benefits. People think people are primarily feature minded when they go to sell a product. They think, oh, well, it's 300 pages, so I have to charge X. It's 30 pages, so I need to charge 1/10 X. It's on gold-plated paper, so I need to charge Y, right? When it's not about the features, it's about the benefits. I don't care. There was on eBay, there was a cassette tape from a marketing guru extraordinaire, Jay Abraham, like a 30-minute, 60-minute cassette tape going for $500. If you're feature-brained and you're feature-minded when you approach your business, you're just going to have this innate sort of perspective and positioning that what you're selling is not worth it, because you're looking at a cassette tape for $500. Nowhere in the world would a cassette tape be worth $500, but nowhere in the world could you go take paper and put $100 on it and call it $100 bill. Exactly. The value is what we give to it. So in the same way, you have to understand the benefits that your product, your service give, and charge accordingly and position accordingly, sell accordingly, and test different things, because almost never your first sort of try is going to work. But it's the person that keeps going. I'm doing a campaign now. It didn't start off successful, but as I tweaked and changed things, wow, I started seeing the conversions, the sales turn around. The next man, the next girl, giving up. I'm on to something else. All right, so that's what I did back in 2002. Is what I'm doing now. 15 years later, it's a marketing process. And that's what I've learned over the years, and I've just become a master at it because I put in my Malcolm Gladwell says 10,000 hours. I like to say, I don't know if I've lived 50,000 hours, but if I have, and you do the math, I like to say it feels like that.
Are there any tools or strategies you use to keep yourself accountable, do the things that you have to do on a daily basis? Right.
What's unique about my story, I get a lot of respect from top gurus. Some people call me one. I'm more humble, although I was there, Corey owned internetmarketing.com. I was like his best student. Uh-huh. Some people give me that title as that, a marketer in my own right. But a lot of the marketers back then that are still around, thing about it is a lot of people have changed industries. A lot of people are constantly reinventing, and that's a good thing if you have to do that. And they're like, how in the heck are you still doing that Hear and Play thing? Right. Now, I add other things to the mix. I can become a marketing coach, automation expert, do motivation, inspiration. I have a lot of things I like to do, but Hear and Play has always been my foundation. We're here in my Hear and Play studio, right? That phone in the background is the Hear and Play customer. We're just after hours, right? So this is what I do. And 17 years at something, stick-to-itiveness, longevity, I think it starts, and a lot of people don't agree with this, but picking the right industry and niche. Is this something that you just want to make money with? And I don't fault you for that. You got to do what you got to do. You got to make money, go make money, short term, long term. Right? If you got to make money, go make money. But for me, see, this was something that wasn't going to go away. Was I ever not going to be a musician? Was I going to wake up one day and say, I hate music? Probably not. The odds are very low. Was I going to wake up considering selling Avon at 12 and knocking on doors at 8 and teaching kids in the church? Was I probably going to wake up and have a distaste for business? Nah, this is what I've been doing since I was a kid. There's something about me that likes to sell and likes to do. So, and then look at me talk. I'm a communicator. We can talk 5 hours, Leon, but we can talk 5 hours and I still have something to say. So when you add all of those together, I think it's my ikigai. A lot of people haven't heard that word. Ikigai. It's a Japanese philosophy, reason for being or meaning, right? And I think when these things collide, your skills with what you love, your passion, with what the world needs and what the world will pay for, now you got your ikigai.
Those three circles that collide in the center.
Ikigai is actually 4 circles.
4 circles.
Yeah, I downplayed one of them. So it's passion, that's what you love. Yeah. Then it's like skill, what you do well. Uh-huh. And then it's what the world needs, and then what the world will pay for.
Would you say that's your life philosophy, to be strategic about things and have principle driven, not go after shiny objects, but be true to your core, whatever you believe 100% in, and being who you are, and putting that into the business and anything you do in your life?
Absolutely. I won't sit here and say at 17 I designed the perfect path ahead. It's looking back, right? And it's almost by accident, or I wouldn't say accident, but just it wasn't by design. I'm just very lucky and blessed that I was exposed to these opportunities. Like what I'm doing today is what I was doing at 12 years old. Who can say that? Like the book that I wrote at 14, 15 years old for students in my community, just because I was lazy and didn't want to start all over. I'm like, wait, I could just put their scales. I knew a little desktop publishing. My mom was good with computers. That helped. And so it's like something I created as a teenager, would launch me into something I am doing as a grown man with 3 kids married, right? That's crazy to me. But, I'm blessed there. So I have to acknowledge that, I couldn't have even imagined that. But then I could, because I had that burning desire. So if it wasn't Hear and Play, maybe it would be full out public speaking, or maybe it would be pastoring a church, or it would have been something I believe in that ikigai, because I set that intention as a kid. So don't think of me as some wonder kid. Just think of me as somebody who started 20 years ago. It takes about 10 years, 10,000 hours. Well, I got 20 years, 22 years at it, and so time. Give yourself time. Explore. You graduate college, or if you don't choose to go to college, give yourself time to go figure out and fall into that thing that you are passionate about. And don't be fast about getting bills and commitments and mortgage. Everybody wants a Ferrari and they want a mortgage and they want a big house and stuff. All you're doing is buying yourself obligation now, and you're making your mind now have to think about those obligations rather than being free to figure out what your passion, figure out what that project is. The people that stayed lean and thin and were able to put their mind. I know a guy right now. He called my office in 2003 when my story started getting published. I got a few features, and he befriended me. We became friends, and he went on, because he stayed very light and lean. He went on to build a $100 million company that he sold, and he still owns a company that I believe he will sell for $1 billion. And that's a testament to staying mobile, right? So forget society's what it will push you to want to do. Instagram is like the devil for this, because you get on there and all your friends are lying too. They're like taking pictures in front of Ferraris that they don't even own at Costco,
Yeah.
And then they got you believing it, so now you got pressure. No, just zone all of that out and figure out what is it that you really want, not what other people want for you. Figure out what you really want, and then maybe you'll be here 17 years later still happy with what you do, and living your dreams.
That's right. I remember back in 2007 when we first met, you had a smaller office in Irvine, and the studio that we're sitting in right now, which is a full-blown professional studio with 5-7 cameras with a separate control room.
Right.
You had a smaller version of this studio in your previous office,
right.
And you had the same attitude. You told me back then, I'm just like you, don't look at me like a guru or a god. Right. You can do the same thing I can. You showed me some things. You were doing projects you were assigning to programmers, overseas, and creating apps, creating programs,
right.
software, right?
That. Yeah.
You were able to turn your passion and this small project business from your dorm room, UC Irvine, which I graduated from UC Irvine
right.
too.
Yeah, I'm on the alumni board.
I've noticed that. I have some questions about that. That's very cool. You were able to turn this into a lifestyle business, and
right.
you're not tied to the business. You're not in the business. You're outside the business managing it.
Right.
How were you able to do it? Talking about freedom, you're planning to go travel the world with your family.
Yeah,
you
crazy
just told me
idea.
before the interview. You told me you're selling your house in Corte de Casa.
Yeah.
What made you, come up with this idea, and what made it possible? You have this business,
right?
And it gave you freedom. As opposed to some people start a business and becomes their curse.
Yeah, and prisoner to their business, right? And I talk about this at one of my other companies, Automation Clinic. I talk about that very thing. Today's kind of special for me, quite frankly, because I'm in escrow for that very house that I'm selling, and today's the 17th day where the buyer has to basically sign and say they are removing all contingencies and they are buying the house. Well, I get to keep that deposit. So, we're pretty much a done deal at this point. And then we go on for our next adventure. We homeschool our kids. That's a testament to the type of business that I built. Once again, though, I can't say, a lot of people lie and act like this is what they sought. I think by accident, this is the skill that I developed. Let's look back. When I started my business, the first, let's say, I can't do the math right now, but the first, 9 years, it was never my primary focus. You're 12, 14, 15, school. Your parents are pressuring you to get good grades. Right. So I'm having to, it's always a side thing. And then even when I get a little bit more serious about it, I'm at UCI, our alma mater, and I'm still having to do criminology law classes because I thought I was going to become a lawyer. Here's the business, this secondary thing, making me more money at the time than my professors, but having this loyalty to my grandma and my mom to graduate. So it's still secondary. How do you focus on your primary thing and have this business be your secondary thing? Well, you have to develop strategies and techniques for the business to basically run itself and or run without your involvement. And right. A lot of people, they're solopreneurs rather than business owners, right? And I just learned by accident, okay, well, if I'm going to have people at an office that I'm not going to be at because I'm at school, well, I've got to have checks and balances. I've got to have spreadsheets. If I want people to buy my products, I want to send them, like when I came across autoresponders in 2002, you mean I can set up 52 emails in advance, and every week these emails can go out automatically? Now, this was back in 2002 where it was a novel concept. Right. Now, Infusionsoft and GetResponse and MailChimp, this stuff we take for granted. Mm-hmm. But back then, I was setting up this stuff and doing the things that people are just now talking about. Funnels. You mean that's not new? So I had to learn how to set this stuff up in advance. So then when I was at school, we had a number of emails going out. You were getting an email because you got on my website 30 days ago, but the next guy's getting an email because he got on my website 90 days ago. And all this monster of a machine is going on while I'm in Spanish class trying to get a C, just trying to get by so I can get done. And I did in 4 years. Then, before I graduated, I got married in 2005. And I didn't think it was going to happen this quick, but then we had a kid by 2006. So I'm full-time husband, full-time father. And now it's like, well, I'm not going to start being busy now because, I got to be there for my family. So I always put them primary. That's why we're traveling the world together and stuff. And the business is not really the primary thing. So this kind of mindset sort of served me, like having the business, like not living my life and then trying to start a business. But having the business always a part of my life and learning how to build the core competencies to have it basically run itself. And so that's why I started Automation Clinic, because it teaches people how to get, so many people are doing things that they don't have to do in their business. Like why are you still answering emails? Why are you packaging up products and taping boxes? Are you serious? Yeah. Are you serious? Why? If you knew the international marketplace is available, and people, skilled people that probably would beat you in grammar and language and English, right, from other countries, where even the rates in those countries make them very well off, but very competitive for you and where you live. If you only knew, you would be able to get half of the stuff you're doing reactively. I have this thing, proactive versus reactive. Mm-hmm. Most of us aren't growing because we're so reactive. We're reacting to customer support emails. We're reacting to the orders we are getting by shipping them out. We're so reactive. And the way you grow a business is not reacting. Put the people in place to react and just have checks and balances to make sure those reactions are happening, right? So I can go to my help desk right now and we can log in, and I bet you it'd be funny to do right now, but I can go to my help desk. Imagine we get thousands of emails a day. Now, this would be the time we're backed up by a few emails, but I bet you in my help desk right now, there's probably less than 10 emails waiting, and we send thousands of emails a month. So that's my check and balance. If I want to know if my customer support is good, I have a happiness score. I can go in, okay, we're over 90. That's good. We're getting good quality results. Our customers are rating it. I go to our help desk right now, and you be my witness. How many emails are waiting in my support right now? What does that say? Pat yourself on the back for having a squeaky clean inbox. Zero, because my staff is doing it. How many have I answered? None. And look at the closed amounts. We're viewing 75,000 conversations. So I'm not talking about a help desk that doesn't get busyness, but I'm talking about a system whereby stuff still gets done, but Jermaine Griggs doesn't have to do it, but he can still have his finger on the pulse of things. And basically, no, I could be in another country, and it takes me in an airport lounge 2 minutes to go into my Help Scout. Okay, we're at a 90% happiness score. Bam, there's no emails in the queue with an average response of 4 to 6 hours. See, so someone else is doing it. They're doing it at a very competitive rate. I have my finger on the pulse. Why are you doing emails yourself? And that's just one example. I could tell you dozens more ways I have my finger on the pulse without doing the work. And that's the start of getting free. And then the funny thing is your business grows because, when I was doing email support, it was half, I don't curse, but it was half you fill in the blank because I'm stretched, right? But when you make it somebody's job and then you give them checks and balances and expectations and you pay them, now all of a sudden it gets done right. And that's my philosophy. Just go figure out how to hack. They call it growth hacking and stuff like that. Uh-huh. Just business hack, process hack your business and figure out what are the things that I'm good at. So for me, the only thing that I do that I should be focused on is communicating, teaching. In this hear and play business, if I'm behind the piano, communicating, teaching, I'm doing my core. I'm doing what I was meant to do. If I'm doing anything writing, typing, creating. Creation. I'm a creator. Yes. If I'm doing anything else, I'm going to be bored. And I'm also a marketer, but that's still creation. It's the creation of ads instead of products. Right. But there's still a creative aspect to it. That's my thing. Somebody else, they can't put together a sentence to save their life, but they're probably a builder or like analytical person or engineer. And that's what they should be doing. So Go figure out how to put people in the places where they shine, and then you're free now for you to shine, and the darn thing just comes together beautifully.
And you can travel the world. All you need to have is access to the internet so you can check the stats. Beautiful.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. Do you have a morning ritual? How do you start the morning?
this is where I fail, if we're being transparent.
I love the fact that you're transparent and real. That's one of the best things one can do, especially in an interview.
I read the books. I read, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, or I'll read The Best Morning Ever, Morning Routine, and I'll try. Like, I'm gonna get up at 5 a.m. because I know that's the most silent and most peaceful hour, and then I'm gonna do my transcendental meditation. I paid thousands to learn transcendental meditation. They gave me this little word, and I try it for 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes at night, and then another guru says drink a half gallon of water, and then do some breathing exercise. So when I'm at my best, I'm doing that stuff, and it really does help. But 3 kids homeschooled, and then I'm a marketer, so I'm up half the hour sometimes when half the night when I'm really into something. So if you get to bed at 3, you're just not gonna have a morning ritual. So I'd say my morning is pretty chaotic, but I compensate for that with things that happen every day. What happens every day? Physical fitness. Every day. I feel it wasn't always this way. 4 years ago, I was out of shape, overweight, 27% body fat. Now I'm like 8% body fat, loped. I'm in the gym, people moving out the way. But that, I've gotten that to be a pattern. I've gotten that to be a conscious thing that I try not to live without. And eating well, being conscious of what I eat. My kids know about carbs, protein, fats. They kind of know their macronutrients. That's a language in our family. And getting stuff done. So it's always a day where I can check something off. Like today, I did a 10-minute video for one of our thank you pages for one of our sales processes, because I'm creating. If I'm creating, I'm doing a podcast with you right now. I'm creating, and there are some things to do with the family. I did shoulders in the gym this morning, 90 minutes, tore my shoulders up. They're boulders right now. So I've got the things I want to do, but I can't honestly tell you, and I'm still working on this. I just don't have that everyday morning routine, because I think my life is so unpredictable, and then going to the new countries and things like that, I just don't know how that's going to work for me. But I'd love to take it up, but then again, it goes back to that different strokes, different folks. So you're trying to read and put somebody else's thing in your way, and for me, if you're successful doing it your way, hey, there might be something to it. So take it for what it's worth. But that's my honest answer.
As long as you balance, as long as it works for you,
right?
At the end of the day, whatever works.
Right. Now, if you want to change something, say you're overweight like I was 4 years ago, and you just can't build the motivation to walk or run or jog or go to the gym, well, then it's called an excuse. But, I think the only thing that I will say I'm in that category is meditating. I know it will help me, and when I am meditating, I am more at peace, and it's just something that right now, I don't know. I just don't do it. But tomorrow, I'm going to try. I know how to do it.
You're procrastinating.
Procrastinating.
What kind of meditation do you do? What do you do when you sit down to meditate?
So I know there's so many different meditations. There's guided meditations. Deepak Chopra has his stuff. So me and my wife, like I said, we did TM, Transcendental Meditation. And it's 20 minutes. And they give you a mantra, and I don't know how to do it. They give it to you by your age or whatever. You're not supposed to tell anyone.
Same mantra every time?
Same mantra. You just repeat that darn thing in your mind, and you just try to make it get more silent, more soft, and just try to forget everything. And I think even if you don't have a mantra, your mantra could be anything, any word. It could be anything. But I think the idea suggests when I'm doing it and when I'm at my best, is to shut out all those thoughts. Because think how fast that brain is moving. My brain, I got a million things to say to you right now, right? Your brain is just working and moving so fast. And the idea is just to try to slow it down, to try to not do anything, to try to just be and not think of anything. And so, yeah, this reminds me, it would be great to have that back in my life, but you got to have a quiet room, and your kids are running around. So sometimes life happens, and you can't do everything you want to do. So that's why right now I don't have a morning ritual. I'd be lying, and I don't want to lie.
So you do meditation sometimes. What are two other tools that you use that you couldn't thrive during the day without those?
Absolutely. Water. So I have this gallon jug. that I try to get throughout the day. So I think
regular water, does it have to be alkaline? Are you into?
I'm not that deep, but hey, I've
basically hydrating, right?
Yeah, hydrating. I've read some things about alkaline water. I haven't really gotten into it, but I don't discount it at all. So whatever floats your boat. But yeah, hydration, because most of us, when you're thirsty, that's like you're dehydrated. They say like once you sense
feel like
thirst,
thirsty.
oh, you're like way gone, right? You got water right now. I've already drank through, mine here. But yeah, get into that. And then I'm working out as well. These things are very helpful. So that helps. Triggers. I have triggers on my phone. And this is a sort of a life hack that I advocate people do. You can set up reminders on your iPhone. I'm pretty sure on your Android as well. You can set up alarms. And don't have an alarm. I mean, you have your alarm to wake up, but have an alarm at 9 a.m. that says how great you are and what you're going to accomplish. Your favorite quote. Do you have a quote that you really like that really gets you going? Like these quotes on my wall. Have them triggered on your phone to send an alarm to you or a reminder to yourself. You could go to followupthen.com and you can have Follow Up Then send you emails throughout the day to remind you of your greatness, to remind you of your potential, to remind you to stay on track, to remind you not to give in to that Twinkie, or to remind you to get up and go to the gym, to remind you not to go straight home, go to the gym, So triggers throughout the day to keep me in the best state. Like Tony Robbins says, state is everything. And when I get overwhelmed, by life or just I'm on like 3 boards and I got kids and stuff. And sometimes I'm like, wait, like some of this stuff is required, being a father and a husband, and then some of this stuff I bring on myself by taking on too much, extracurricular stuff. So when that happens, I have to remind myself to slow down, to be, and remind myself of things that I might forget. And triggers help to keep you in the right state, because if your state is optimal, you can do anything. And for creators out there, I mean, think about it. When you're in the right state, you write better, you talk better, you communicate better, you flow better. They call it, there's a psychological state called flow.
Yes.
When things just happen, you can't even explain it. Man, and that was me. March 2nd, 2002 was my first, I'm pretty sure it happened before that, but the one that I remember the most was flow. I couldn't even tell you why I made 8,000. I mean, I don't know, but I changed my website and the same traffic I was getting and everything I did just started working for me. And that was my first real moment of flow. Life-changing money. I had my own apartment after that. Right. Like, they needed statements. I had bank statements that went from 0 to like making on track for 6 figures. Like, that was flow to me. And even though I make much more money now, it's still that feeling of going from nothing to something that's even more rewarding and fulfilling than going from more to more, right? Like they tell you like a billionaire or whatever. I mean, I don't know how it feels to make another billion when you already have 50, but it's probably not the same feeling when they went from, if they started, with nothing, from nothing to something. That feeling is amazing. So flow, just remember that. What can I do to keep myself in that state? And things just get attracted and magnetized to you.
Right. Talking about attracting things, how do you network? How do you meet new people? And how did you get on the board of directors at UC Irvine? I mean, you were a student at one time, and now you're on the board of directors. How did that happen?
I even did the commencement at UCI. I did a double commencement speech this past June to the graduates, 5,000 in attendance. It was awesome. And so networking, you know what? I've never been a proactive networker. Like you wouldn't find in my calendar, network mixer. Like I know a lot of people do that because, they're more in corporate America, professional stuff. Like I got, you can tell them what I have on right now, shorts and like some like Converse with so I'm never having to really network or dress to impress or anything like that because of the nature of my business. Now, if I was in real estate or mortgages or investments, I understand it's a different kind of thing. So in my world, networking is translated to giving value and then attracting people. So if you're out there giving value, if this podcast, somebody's going to hear it and hopefully they're going to say, that man is sharp, right? And then they invite you on something and then they invite. And so with the UCI thing, I was first invited to consult the chancellor because somehow they found out I was an entrepreneur. Obviously, I was out there and I rep UCI in my biographies and things. So, basic internal internet search, I guess. they know who's out there. Because obviously they want donations and stuff, so they try to track you and stuff. So then they engage you by bringing you in with the chancellor and stuff. And I was on the Young CEO panel, and I gave value and was a standout there. And then they say, we had some seats fall off the board, and the committee has nominated you, and now you're on the board. And then once you're on that board, they want you on another board. So there's an entrepreneurial, it's called the Cove. They're trying to make Irvine the next Silicon Valley. I mean, millions of dollars poured into this. You're on the alumni board. Let's put you on that board. Well, how do you do that? Because I hosted homecoming. Now I'm up on stage, and all the alumni are there. Rich, poor, awesome. Indifferent, they're there. So now you're exposed there. So for me, it's not. I've never been one to carry business cards to me, and I agree that there are different schools of thoughts. But listen to mine. Mine is, you got a business card, you meet somebody at a mixer, you give them that business card. Do they literally, I mean, some people scan or whatever, but that's not most people. Man, they're tossing that thing, putting it in their top drawer till like their top drawer is like unbearable. And then housekeeping or they are going to clean that out during spring cleaning. And they're never going to, and even if they did keep a pile, they don't remember you from that pile. So I think it's useless. I think if you're going to make a connection with somebody these days, you better be texting each other and confirming that you guys got each other text. If it's a real connection. Like, I'm just going to pull out my phone. If you're somebody I want to talk to, I'm going to pull out my phone. If you're not someone, I'm going to make up an excuse. I'm out of here, right? So, that's my take on networking. Give value. Put yourself in positions to be valuable. Back with my first mentor, Corey Rudel, how did I end up becoming a friend with him? I bought his course like anybody else. Corey sold thousands, tens of thousands of customers. How do I end up speaking for him on stage as a 19-year-old, traveling the country sort of as a success story spokesperson, doing my own seminars for Corey Rudel on his behalf? By giving value. I reached out to him, told him of my success, and said, I want to learn more from you, and I'm willing to work for your company. I'm making money myself here in this dorm room.
You applied what he was teaching first, right?
I applied what he's teaching.
You got results.
I got results, $8,000, $10,000, $13,000 a month, and that was in March. By about October, right, I let them know about my success and showed them screenshots and all that stuff. They wanted to interview me. So now I'm giving value because as an interview, that's something they're going to publish to their students. Study, yes. It's a case study. He had this thing called Secrets to Their Success. So I became a DVD in his product line, and people got inspired. Then he asked me to record on his site. And so once I looked at these as opportunities, other people are like, for example, family are so quick to say, don't let them use you. They're making money off of your story. There's something about a young kid from the inner city that's probably inspiring the world right now. You better ask for this. And my mindset was never that. My mindset was just give value. Who cares? Okay, I'm being put out on a site that gets millions of visitors. If they're making millions of dollars on my store, who cares? Like, I'm giving value there, right? I'm not this like scarcity-minded person. Exactly. And it came back to me because they're like, Jermaine, how would you like to speak for Corey? Because Corey doesn't want to speak. He's retired now, but we still want to do workshops, and we want to do them all over America. And we will pay you, a commission, and it was a 6-figure commission of what you sell, because they offer products and stuff at the end of the workshop. I was like, of course I want to do that. So I'm in school weekends. I'm flying out to major cities. I'm 19 at the time. Wow. And then that's how you spark a friendship with a multimillionaire that you want to emulate and be. And then obviously I said 3 years later, Corey died in a car accident tragically, just a couple weeks before he was going to come to my graduation at UCI. That was so sad. I actually cried. And, as guys, we hold back our tears sometimes, but, he wasn't biological, but, it was a 3-year period. Yeah, I can say financially, economically, he has something to do with the trajectory change of my life, my wife, my kids. He has something to do with that. So give value in every situation. Don't be thinking dog eat dog and people are using you. I hate when people, this has only happened very rarely. But, opportunities to intern here and do things like that. And you can tell the difference between people who are quick to want what they want, because they think, well, you got it, you should be able to do this, versus somebody who's really here to learn and give value. And then that person will go so much further to me than the person who thinks that the world is always out to do something. So flip that motto. P. Diddy said he worked for free. He interned for free. Now he became a media mogul, entertainment mogul. Robert Kiyosaki says the same thing in Rich Dad Poor Dad. He went to that stockbroker, New York, Wall Street or whatever, and offered to work for free. So you got to flip that model. Online, I don't just ask someone to buy from me. I give out free lessons, free PDF, free videos, right? I don't care if you're selling somebody or trying to be sold or be mentored or figure out what you want to do. Think value first, and then I think the rest will figure itself out.
Exactly. Yeah, it works. I mean, I interned at your office back in 2007 to 2009, off and on. I interned at a property management company for free just to learn about the industry.
How did you learn that? How did you learn that mindset? Did you read Rich Dad Poor Dad too? Or
I've read Rich Dad Poor Dad, but I think it's kind of
it was just natural to you.
Obvious. I mean, you want to learn something, and it's a no-brainer for them. You know, they don't have to pay you. All they have to do is provide some education in exchange of you helping them.
Right.
And they're always looking for help.
Right. Outside of like some school requirement, do you think most people think like that? Like, let's say school's done, internship for school is one thing. Internship when it's real life, and do you think most people think, oh, man, I want to do this, and I'll do this for free just to learn it? Very few.
Mm-hmm. It's because it's counterintuitive.
Yeah.
After you graduate school, you're done with school internships, you want to start a job, start making money, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then some people, a few might say, I'm willing to not get paid for 6 months and work for free so I can get real world education, experience-based education, not from textbooks, but from actual business that is running and successful.
Right.
I'm going to learn from inside.
Right. And that's why I would tell young people, back to my advice, don't be trying to get your own place all quickly. If you got supportive parents that are willing to take you in after graduation, forget Instagram. You're trying to compare to your friends and, Ashley landed this job on Wall Street and so is in Silicon Valley. Forget that. Go back home with your parents. Keep your expenses slim, and you might be able to go find some guru, some mogul, some CEO. And because you're the one who can offer to mirror them for free, give value to them in whatever way you can, because you don't have these expenses, you set yourself up for success faster, to me, or more, in the long run, rather than someone, with all these bills to pay now, keeping up with the Joneses, and they have to go take real gigs that may not be as enriching to them as being able to go find somebody who you want to emulate and put yourself in a position. Many people have taking me out for coffee and things like that. And I can't say I've accepted every invitation, but just certain gut reactions to their email. Their emails seem very authentic. And I've answered it, and we've had coffee. And then other emails, I didn't get that right feeling, because you can't do everything. But, do that. Reach out to people. Like, there are a few people in this world, a lot of people, that I would work for free. I would leave my business for a finite period because I got my finger on the pulse anyway, and I go work for them for free. If I got the opportunity to be in Warren Buffett's office, put yourself in a position to be able to do that kind of thing, right? And I'd follow him, mirror him, do whatever, go buy his Starbucks coffee, humble myself. It doesn't matter that I got my own 17-year career, because in my mind I can learn something from that situation. And there's a lot of people I would do that with. Tyler Perry's is somebody I hold, and I love how he went from sleeping on a park bench to creating a media company, owns his own studio in Atlanta, Oprah, these figures like that. I do it even till this day. I don't think you ever get too established to look ahead and see where and who is at that next level and figure out how to rub shoulders with them. But it's going to be you having to give value or concede something.
Providing value.
Because don't come with an entitlement. People come to me like I'm supposed to have lunch and dinner and coffee. No, it's not supposed to be that way. It can be, but it's not supposed to be.
Exactly. I'm really curious about your wife, Sarah. What role does she play in your success? Because I know you've been together since high school.
Right.
Even you were together in the Polytechnic. You went
Poly.
together, right?
Yes.
So what role did she have in your success?
She was like my first informal employee girlfriend.
How so?
Well, we met, like you said, at Poly High School in Long Beach. I was 16. I think she was 15. Gospel choir. Even music brought me to my spouse. Started a gospel choir at Poly High School. And she walked in one day, and I couldn't keep my eyes off her. And, I wrote a letter because, I'm not like one of those guys that could just walk up and be like, yo, what's up? I wrote a letter, and, oh, he's so cute. And, we began dating. And hear and play while I was doing the gospel choir at the school, and I was teaching kids. All of this kind of wraps together, right? And did a few shows at the high school that I sponsored. I was president of the school and stuff. And so we started dating at 16. And when these orders started coming in, because I'd get a few orders a month for my book, this time I'm 17, senior year, she'd actually go to the print shop with me. Our dates consisted of this print shop on Long Beach Boulevard. We'd go print the books. We put the cover, the transparent cover on the front, bind them.
Three-ring binder.
Three-ring binder. Then we go over to the post office on Redondo Boulevard, Long Beach, California. You know what I'm talking about. And then we ship them out. And then she always jokes, then he would take me to McDonald's. And that's how I would pay her. And then I would drop her off at home. And for a while, she was, most girlfriends, they don't consider that too romantic. No. But she saw my visions. Yeah. I don't know, this boy, wow. And she stuck by me. And even in college, where I went to UCI and she went to another school, she went to Cal State. And I called her that day, 2002. I said, we got to ship like 20 books today alone. And we didn't do 20 books in a month. Yeah. I picked her up and we did our triangle. And then when I got my office in 2003, my mom was my employee. And then my girlfriend was my employee. So they were going to be future in-laws, So my mom was already getting on her nerves, And it was like us three, and then I brought another person in. And so she's been with me every step of the way. And then obviously when we got married, and then I got staff in place, and she was able to come home because soon after we would have our first kid. And so she's been able to raise our kids. And she has her own venture. She's fitness, CrossFit extraordinaire. She's got like a full-blown 8-pack, 6-pack. I struggle to keep mine up, but she's got it. And anytime we do a CrossFit local competition, she's first or second among the ladies. And we're talking like 50 people are there. Uh-huh. I'm like 26th, 27th among the men. I just look good, but I'm not an athlete. She's that way. So, she predates Hear and Play, really, but by a year. So whenever I say Hear and Play 17 years old, me and Sarah are 18 years old. And so it's glad to have found love and that before getting into business. I know a lot of business people, it's hard for them. They get out in the love world, and you see these reality shows, and the level of distrust happens when you've already figured out the economic part of your life, but you haven't figured out the relationship part of your life. Now you're out there and you're in clubs and bars and things, and you don't know who wants you for just you or because you got in that Maserati in the valet. And I think there becomes this thing, and then you got these prenups and things, and it can get wild. And the divorce rate is not a good thing in America as a whole, but especially among this entrepreneurial lifestyle. So I got to dodge all that. Again, knock on wood, another blessing. I did everything early. I got to dodge that because we were together before that.
Before the business
took off? Absolutely. We were together at 16. The business took off at 18. And I'm not saying that you can't find love after that, but you just probably got to have a lot more filters and common sense and intuition and things like that. People going on game shows, to find love. I don't know how that would work. So I'm just thankful. Everything that I am today, I figured out when I was a kid. It's a lot easier to do it when you figure it out early. So encourage your kids. Even my kids now got to the point where I'm like, let them do what they want to do. They want to start YouTube channels and learn about business and things like that. And my oldest daughter, struggles in certain subjects. And I was listening to Gary Vee, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is one of my daughters. Gary Vee was talking about he almost just hated school. I'm not saying my daughter hates school, but then she's brilliant. I can show you her YouTube channel, and she's she can be a full feature film director by the age of 18. She's 11 now. So it's like, do I continue teaching her these fractions and things like that? She's going to need to know, but we're not going to talk about trigonometry. I'm not going to put that societal. I don't even know what you need trigonometry for. Maybe, I don't know. Architecture, I don't know. What do you need in life? I can look back and I can implant those to my kids, and it's not going to be based on what society wants. I'd rather them follow their passions because I know what worked for me. Right. And if they can do that at an early age and set their life up like that, oh man, there's no looking back.
You got the formula, now you're helping them to implement it.
Right? Absolutely. And the formula is not what everybody else is going to want for them, or, what are your kids doing? No, if they want to, we'll let them figure out their passions, and I'll push them full throttle in where they want to go. We have this saying in our house: Are you a creator or are you a consumer? Mm-hmm. I'm really harsh. I say a dumb consumer. I said, now you don't have to choose, but there's a ratio. I said 80% 20, 70% 30, but in this house, you're not going to be 100% consumer. I mean, the YouTube for kids is wild. There's so many guava juice and all these. They love it. They can get tied into this. And I say, you guys are being consumers. You can now, if you really love this stuff, you can create. And I just implant those nuggets for them because they say they want it, but you need that support system to give you a little push. And so they know. They're like, Daddy, we're being creators. I said, that's right, And it's only as much as they want to do it, though.
What are some of your core values?
I actually have a list for Hear and Play. I say for my personal life, always be kind. Mm-hmm. I get that a lot. That I'm very kind, and it's weird to say it, but that's just what people say. Always be humble, right? You could never tell that I've done what I've done. Just in my public demeanor. I don't walk around. Some people, they walk around with their chest out, and you don't know what they do, but the way they carry themselves, which is a good thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing or anything, but you're like, I wonder what they do. Like, they better not be a deadbeat because they play this game really well in public, right? And then there's us unassuming people, and I always said, I want to be unassuming and maybe shock you when you find out, oh, wow, I didn't know, he did that, or he was that kind of guy, or I'd rather be that than be the arrogant type that can't even live up to all that. I don't know. I got a weird thing on that. So I'm always like the humble, unassuming, laid back, crack that joke in a serious situation, Will Smith-esque type person that's not taking myself too seriously, even in the boardroom at UCI.
But how did you get that way? Were you always that way? Is it because of your upbringing, your grandparents, your parents? Because money can change people. Once you start getting more money in your life, most people change their attitude, They
do.
They become a totally different person.
Right. I got some people I know, you give them $10,000 and they're like, you can't talk to them, right? You can't. They're so arrogant and stuff. And I have this talk with my wife. So there's very few things that make my skin crawl. And arrogance. Now, some people will say the thing that bothers you is the thing you're worried about. It'd be very weird to me. Maybe, I don't know, if I'm being honest, but I read that in personal development. The thing that bothers you is the thing you're struggling with. I don't know how that works because I don't consider myself arrogant. But at the same time, maybe I am, I don't know. But at the same time, if I sense it in someone else, oh my gosh, makes my skin crawl. I want to be around humble, regular, transparent, humble, prideless people. And so that's probably one of my biggest core values, something that I think all of our kids get. They're very kind. If you ask them, how are you, they will look you in your eyes and say, I'm fine, how are you? People are very impressed that the kids engage because, in this world, and I always want to look someone in the eye. I want to, when people are talking to me, I want them to know that they have my undivided attention. Sometimes I have conversations with somebody and they're down texting on their phone. Wait, we're having a conversation? I just stopped talking then because, I don't understand. To me, that's disrespectful. I don't know if that's old school or what. When someone's talking to me, one client of mine in the automation world, he said this in a follow-up email. Said, you entertained me for lunch, and I was so grateful for that. One, the guy that sends you the email to take you out for lunch, one of the ones that I wanted to do. And he says, not only did our lunch last 3 hours because we just had so much to talk about, but one thing I noticed about you that I've never noticed about anyone, not one time did you pull out or look at your phone. Not one time. I was like, dang, really? I didn't know he was tracking me. But if he says it must have happened. But it doesn't seem far-fetched because I haven't even looked at my phone with you.
Talking about the phone,
Mm-hmm.
how do you manage it? Because some people, keep it next to them when they go to
Right.
bed, They keep looking at, even while they're driving,
They're
I see
looking at
all the time people
dangerous.
looking at their phone while they're driving, It's just, it not only distracts them, but the people who look at them
Are distracted.
Well, exactly, like worried
Ripple effect.
about those people. So, do you have any systems in place? Do you keep your phone in the bathroom while you in bed? Do you lie in bed going through your emails or playing on your phone?
Right.
How do you manage it?
Sure. So me, I don't know who I got this from, but my phone stays on silent, and then I go into my iPhone, and I don't even have it vibrate. I haven't felt a vibration in a long time, which means when it's silent, it's silent. Mm-hmm. There's a feature like you could put a few numbers, like, so if your wife calls you twice, there was one time my son got a dash and my phone was on silent and she called the second time and I picked it up and it really was an emergency. But I don't pick up my calls. Every call in my phone is a missed call. Every call. To me, you can leave a message. I can ascertain that message and I can get back to you. But my phone, it's been this way for years. Anyone who knows me knows it's very rare to pick it up. My grandpa was the same way. Maybe I got it from him. So to me, the phone doesn't control me. Like, I was talking to someone in Chipotle, just someone I see all the time because I'm in Chipotle every day, and my phone was ringing in my pocket, and I was talking to him. We were having a conversation, about a soda machine. He's like, your phone is ringing. Aren't you going to pick it up? And I was like, I don't need to look at it. I don't even need to look at it. He said, but it might be an emergency. I said, well, the people that matter are on special ringers. He was like, duh. I got systems where my phone doesn't control me, but somebody else, man, their phone rings. And they may not even have anything serious going on. I mean, it could be an emergency, but what are the odds? Come on, every time your phone rings, it's not an emergency. But they just have to look at their phone.
And sometimes someone else's phone rings, and people go
Right.
reach to their phone.
My point is, you make the choice to disconnect. I read a book, The Winter of Our Disconnect. It was like, I think it was based in Australia, and this woman, she's like a media writer, analyst. One period of time, she decided to just turn off her electricity, and they were like tech kids. She was in tech kind of thing. And they went totally no electronics, nothing. Even I don't know how they made their food or whatever, but I guess you could have heat. But she did that. That inspired me. Now, I'm yet to unplug everything like that. That's extreme. But I am one that I can do without my phone for an extended period of time. I can go all day. Now, am I going to come back to maybe a stampede of alerts on that home screen? Of course, like anybody else. But I practice inbox zero as well. So let the emails pile up. When I have time and when I have an organized lot of time, I'm going to get that inbox back to zero. Like, I could show you my inbox and it might have 7 emails in it. Mm-hmm. It used to say 20. How many people's inbox say 29,366 right. with the bold number in Gmail, right? Mine says pretty much 0 to 7, give or take. And even those, I use followupthen.com I forward them to followupthen. So it's like 3 days at followupthen.com, and then I archive it, and then that email will come back in 3 days. So in my mind, I'm clear, I'm free. And so it's just systems and structures to be free, to live your life that way. And then you don't feel, now, am I perfect with getting back to family members? And is my grandma giving me lectures every other week? Absolutely. I'm not perfect when it comes to that. But at the same time, I'm not a prisoner to my phone. And maybe this is the arrogance thing. Maybe I am arrogant there. But, maybe I am. I don't know. But arrogant for my freedom. If I want to be arrogant for my independence, arrogant for my sanity. And if that's arrogant, then, and I do get accused of that part. You need to pick up your phone. Well,
no, that's very impressive for sure. How do you get enough sleep? Do you have a ritual of, some people have a ritual before they go to bed, so they can get a really good night of sleep and
right.
then wake up productive, have a great productive day. It's really important to have deep sleep and rejuvenate.
Yeah, for me right now, that goes back to the morning ritual. I think it's all tied together. So my work right now, so I don't want anyone to think I don't work because I'm automated and things like that. What I would do is I'll get these bursts of inspiration. And me, like, when I'm in a burst of inspiration, which right now has started after my kids go to bed, and it'll be like 11 to like 2, 3 a.m. And I'll be writing copy, I'll be working on a sales funnel or recording something, and I'm just in that zone. And I try to make myself go to sleep. And I think sometimes when I work out, I take a pre-workout. And if I work out after 5, I try to work out in the morning, but if I work out after 5, I think the pre-workout, it's got caffeine and stuff. It's like drinking like a lot of coffee, so it's naturally keeping me up. So I can't give you that honestly, you know. But I'm not one of those hustle hard guys, sleep is for suckers. That's not me. I'm not like, you only need 4 or 5 hours of sleep, you know. Gary V, Eric Thomas, I am not that. But sometimes that naturally does happen when I'm in the zone. And, you know, who said that? I forgot. It was the guy that wrote Swim with the Sharks Without Getting Eaten Alive or whatever. But he said, like, sleep for him is like, darn it, interrupting what I got to do, but I got to do it so I can get back up and finish. Sometimes I do feel like that way, like, man, I'm in a zone, but I know I got to go to sleep so I can wake up and, you know, feel rejuvenated. But sometimes sleep feels like an interruption. But I'm not Gary V. I'm not like sleep is for suckers. That's unsustainable. But last night I did go to bed at 3. The night before that I did go to bed at 3. So I can't give you great sleep patterns advice, but I can say when I'm ideal, I try to get to bed by 10 and get up by 6.
What is your biggest fear moving forward?
My biggest fear now is it's shifted from me. It hasn't been about me for a long time. I always say, you know, I feel like I've lived my dreams. I mean, I don't need another car or anything, you know. I bought 2 cars at the Mercedes dealership in one day when I was foolish. That's like my rapper story.
You bought 2 cars in one day?
$200,000 cars in one day. I bought my Dream SL 500. This was in 2005. And then I bought a G500 Army wagon. I don't know if I had that car when you came to our office.
SL, the 2-door?
2-door.
Yeah,
small car. And then I had this big Army wagon. And to me, that was dumb. But it was a phase I had to go through. I'm not saying it's done for anybody. I know like Ty Lopez has like 18 cars or whatever. And people have to go through that. And Floyd Mayweather, same way. He's got, you know, and he can do that with $300 million fights. But for me, I kind of got that all out of my system. So it hasn't been about me. So my fears is, are my kids going to be all right? Like, am I really implanting everything that it took for me to get here? Because to me, it ain't success unless it's replicatable. You know, you can have figured something out for yourself, but can you help others figure it out in a repeatable, replicatable way? You know, when you talk about business trainings and marketing trainings, that's the question. Like, even in music, what we do here at Hear and Play, you can play brilliantly. You could be one of the best. Can you teach? Can you get a repeatable result? Can somebody else come as a student and repeat your success? Well, can you be a successful businessman or woman? And can your next generation, can your kids somehow repeat that? Or are they going to be the generation to squander? They say the first generation makes it, second generation kind of like, you know, holds on to a little bit, and then the third like just squanders it, you know? And so my fear at this stage, and with the homeschooling, the uncertainty, like, okay, well, in my head, public school to me, and our kids were first private, but then if we went public after we came back from travel or whatever, you know, I know the public versus private, but even private, right? So are they equipping my kids more than what I can do myself? And society success rates of school, public education, things like that. Is there anything in those stats that make me comfortable for my kids' future? Meaning, is the public school for the future world that we have, the world where you're probably not even going to be able to or want to drive. Your cars are going to drive you. You know, your 3D printers are going to make stuff. And what is the world going to look like? Like, think about 1800s, you know, a tube flying through the air would have been an alien, you know? But this is normal for us. What's going to be normal for them? And is school preparing them for that? And when I look at this curriculum, and I look at some of the stuff we're learning, and I look at some of the real world skills I needed to be where I am today, I see a vast disconnect. So that's why I'm like, let's travel the world. Let's get a worldwide experience and perspective. Let's learn on the road. And if we're going to study history, let's just go to the place. And let's get a real experience, and let's get a real reverence for the earth and the world and people. And I think I can give my kids that experience. So thus doing it now rather than later with 11, 7, and 6-year-olds. And at the end of the day, they need to be given the mindset that I got, and they need to be given the skills. And if they want to go work in corporate, they can go do that. But I really think based on our experiences that I have entrepreneurial kids that have been bitten by the bug because they've seen it. They don't know what it means for me to get up. I don't have a morning routine because I don't have to get up. I don't have, especially when you're homeschooling. I mean, when I say we don't have any constraint right now, we don't have any constraint because even the homeschool took away the constraint of even having to wake up. As long as your kids get their lessons, and those lessons can come in any number of ways. So that's my fear. But I also feel like I'm tackling it. But it's one of those things that you don't know until your 21-year-old, your 25-year-old, your 30-year-old is out there in the real world and being productive. Many of preachers, many of pastors couldn't produce productive kids. And that's weird to me. And that's epidemic, even in the churches that I've experienced. If one is to produce the best kids, I would expect the pastor preaching the sermon about the virtues and the ways of the world and being good, but can't produce that in one's own.
Who go astray,
There's even a line called "I'm a preacher kid," a PK. They go astray, And you got this other kid here, secular, and may not even have had that experience, and they're just a good human being.
Right.
I can't figure that one out, but I am working on it with my own kids.
What's your stance on helping kids financially in the future, and how that affects, the way they grow up?
My own kids?
Yeah.
I thought you other kids. I'm on a board of a youth organization.
In general, but starting with your kids.
Right. So we do mentor kids. Operation Jumpstart. I'm on the board of that organization in Long Beach, where I grew up, teaching kids, how to get into college and things like that. With my own kids, it's back to that creator versus consumption. I'm putting them in positions right now to learn things that I learned when I was their age, to be self-sustaining when they're my age, when they become an adult. I really want them to be self-sustaining and learn the principles of wealth and income creation. I believe there's just so many opportunities out there, and no offense to anyone right now working a service-based job, but you're listening to this or podcasts like this because you seek something different and greater. So let this truth meet you. But I just could never see my kids flipping a hamburger other than gaining the work ethic. Like if it was like this thing, like, look, you need to go to In-N-Out. I like the way, these kids are flipping those hamburgers and they're all polite. Right. And you go to Chick-fil-A and say, my pleasure. You need to take your butt over there and learn some manners. That's one thing. But like, I'm in the middle, politics and whatever. I don't go to any extreme side. I think everything is emotional and irrational, and people don't use their common sense with this stuff. They just go to their side and they put blinders on. So I never want to be that way. I'm in the middle and I do everything individually. Some things I believe here, some things I believe there. Mm-hmm. So when they were doing like the minimum wage McDonald's thing, see, I wouldn't be totally liberal there as a businessman, but then when they're, helping in social services and things, I would be. But see, with the McDonald's thing, that's not meant to be a 40-year-old person's career. That's meant to be a teenager type thing, right? That no one ever said, well, I don't know, maybe in the corporate side of McDonald's, but that thing is supposed to be some, move up. What are you moving up from, the French fries to the hamburger? There's no mobility in that part of it. Maybe the manager, right? But even then, you're sort of capped. It wasn't meant for that. So when you're fighting, how can I feed my 5 kids? Not at McDonald's, because McDonald's is a stepping stool for somebody that doesn't have 5 kids. That's my take on that one, right? So there's so many opportunities out there that when you think about $8 and $9 for your time for a whole entire hour, I cannot see my kids doing that. I would have failed if I knew how to start 5, 6 businesses in my teens and 20s and learn how to create income and wealth online, but I couldn't pass at least one of those strategies on to my kids, and then now they have to work at McDonald's. But their dad, that's a what do you call that? A travesty. That is the most horrible thing for me, my legacy, right? So I want to teach them and empower them to do these things. Now I have a couple houses that, my grandma stays in one and she won't be with us forever. And then I have other relatives and things. Do I want to pass things on to my kids like other cultures do for their kids? Absolutely. That's how it works. Wealth generation is generational. I want to change that income poor gap that I grew up with and now have something to give to my kids. Other kids are getting it. So I don't want to be like, no, I'm giving 99% of my stuff to charity. Maybe it's that way for the Gates and stuff. Because, your kids lived a darn good life on 1%. Even if you kept 1%, they lived a good darn life with photos changing by their moods. You walk into the room and the photo changes. Okay, well, do what you want. But I'm no Bill Gates. I do want to leave them some stuff. But I also want to teach them how to create on their own. And I want them to take care of daddy too. So I want them to, I'm selfish. I want to create so you guys can help me out too when, my mind isn't ticking and talking as fast as it is now.
Exactly. About the charities and the wealthy, the Gateses, right? Mm-hmm. They create their own charities and they have their kids work for the charity. So when they put money into the charity, it's paying their kids.
Yep, true.
And they avoid taxation and so forth.
Absolutely. Damon Dash, you know him? He was partners with Jay-Z, and then they had a falling out, but he's very raw. You find him on like online podcasts. Mm-hmm. And he's like, your job, your kids, if you're an entrepreneur, business person, there's no reason your kids should be working for somebody else. He's really raw with it. He's like, what was the point of it then? If you couldn't pass something on to your kids, now if they didn't want to, they wanted to become a lawyer, a doctor, where you had to go, professional type thing, that's different. But if your kids are out there in something they don't want, like they're complaining on the phone, but you started something and it doesn't have the provisions to be able to bring in your whole family, then what did you do it for? So I'm of that mind too. My daughter's playing the piano. Maybe she'll be the heir of the Hear and Play thing. I don't know what Hear and Play will look like in 20 years, how we're learning stuff in 20 years, but whatever that's going to look like, I can see her. My other daughter's a communicator. I can see my other son. He says he's going to be the biggest entertainer in the world like Michael Jackson. Okay, I'm behind you. But you better be doing something.
That's awesome. Yeah, they're just awesome kids, bro. Just some of the videos I see on Facebook and Facebook Live.
Oh, yeah.
Just, makes me smile. Yeah. What is your definition of a thriving life?
Thriving life is the same as, how I would define success. And a thriving life is whatever your definition is, whatever your set out purpose or desire is, and an ongoing, continual realization of that. So if you want to be a monk who has no possessions at all, minimalistic, and you want to meditate and be like an empty vessel from which spiritual concepts and things can pass through and be able to inspire people because of that, or aid and help people, then you're living a thriving life. You don't have Ferraris parked in a big mansion, but look what you're doing. You had a desire, a worthy goal, an ideal, and you progressed towards it. So that's the big difference. I used to be all about the riches. I used to be, until I got it and noticed that it didn't make me happy. I was happier as a freshman at UCI with the thriving business. It's almost like the joy is in the journey, not necessarily when you get whatever. So you should always just be progressing towards this ideal realization, but it can't be like a societal thing. You have to break free from society and you have to come up with what you really want. And it has to be something, because some of you have pressures to do, but you're not really like that way. The social media has pushed you to want to do this, but you're not really that way. You settle for a nice bread and butter 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and with green grass and a white picket fence. You don't need that $12,000 mortgage. But you're tempted to think that way because you think that's just going to be. I'll tell you right now, the house I'm selling, 6,000 square feet. We only use 2 rooms. Why are all my kids in my bed at the end of the night? I got to ask, why do I have all these? My electric bill, $1,200. Why am I paying all this to use 2 rooms? My kid, at the end of the day, I might as well be in my first house, functionally, right? Ego-wise, whatever. But functionally, I might as well be in my... So I realize these kinds of things, if I'm being honest, and I say, wow, I want to undo some of the things that I thought would make me the most happiest. And so that's why I'm doing something so courageous and crazy as traveling the world and being minimalist, giving away like all my couches and stuff. I'm only keeping my piano and my books, and my wife will keep what she wants. But then giving away everything else, this stuff, we don't even need all this stuff. I have a rule. If I haven't looked at you in a year, then I'm just going to throw it out or give it away. And then we're just going to live experiences. And so right now, that's my Thrive thing. My Thrive thing is I want to create experiences for myself and my family that we will always remember. I want to be sitting around Christmas when my kids are 30 and saying, remember when we went to Thailand or we went to Costa Rica? Or you said you were like, we want to go to all 7 continents and the only way to get to Antarctica is through a cruise. And we did that cruise, Daddy. Remember that? To me, I'm going to look back, and that the bet that I'm making today, I think it's going to be so much worth it. And sidekick, income, and wealth, and those memories created.
Couldn't have said better. I've come to that realization too. Jermaine, thank you very much for this exciting interview. I'm really thankful for you taking the time out of your busy day. Where can the listener find you?
So a business listener can find me at automationclinic.com, where I share my ideas and concepts for making your business automated, creating the sales systems and the customer service systems, and just thinking in a systems kind of way. My acronym for systems is quite funny. Systems, something you stick to emphatically and methodically. Systems, something you stick to emphatically, and create a system out of anything. Sales systems, marketing systems, any kind of system. So that's Automation Clinic. If you're interested in anything I do, like motivation, inspiration, facebook.com/Jermaine Griggs fan. And I do a regular talk there on Facebook Live, and clock like 276 hours of talks over there. As you guys can see, I can talk, I can go. And then hearandplay.com, if you're into music for any reason and want to check out what we're doing over there, Hear and Play. That's my oldest, my baby, my 17-year-old business there that is teaching people all over the world how to play music by listening, using their ears. So those are the 3 places to find me.
Playing music without being able to read the
sheet music, yeah. Chords, patterns.
Chords, exactly.
Yeah, I'll leave you with this. The ABCs, like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder. They're the same song. Baba Black Sheep, the same song. So music follows patterns, and you start figuring out, wow, all these songs are the same chords. Us musicians just understand that.
You combine those chords in different ways, right? And you come up with a different song.
Yeah, so the regular world thinks it's a new song. Like, why is this song a platinum hit? Because it sounds like the last song that was a platinum hit. They just changed the lyrics and maybe the rhythm and stuff, but it's the same chords. I teach people how to unlock those patterns. And if you think about it, music and life is about pattern recognition, going through the same patterns. What do they say, insanity?
Doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, pattern. Recognize a bad pattern, but also be able to recognize a good pattern. Chess, I love chess as well. Chess is about pattern recognition. The best players are masters at recognizing patterns because they've been here before. When you learn how to acknowledge that you've been here before, whether that's in music, I played this song before, this chord before. In life, I've been in this situation before. In chess, I've seen this opening before, closer before. That's when you'll thrive. So pattern recognition. We got nuggets even in the closing.
and if you haven't been through that pattern before, somebody else did. So you can learn through somebody else's experience, right?
Even better,
save
right?
Time and save pain.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Glad to be here.
And there we have it. Another amazing guest has visited our club. Make sure to subscribe to the Thriving Life Club podcast on your favorite app. Simply go to thrivinglifeclub.com/ and the name of your favorite platform. iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, YouTube. You get the point. You will find the show notes, the episode freebie, and the resources mentioned during the episode by navigating your browser to thrivinglifeclub.com/ and the number of this episode. For example, for the episode 3, you would go to thrivinglifeclub.com/3. For the episode 7, you would go to thrivinglifeclub.com/7. We want to make this podcast the #1 podcast on iTunes in its category. When you feel inspired, head over to iTunes and give us a quick review to keep the podcast commercial free and get it discovered by more people like you and families like yours. Rate and review the podcast on iTunes and share it with your friends. Let's inspire more people together. And until the next episode, just remember, start where you are, use what you have, do what you can, live a thriving life.